Hi everyone, it's Rax bringing you another leveling guide. This time we're going to talk about the Druid, the final leveling guide that we have, at least to get one for every class. And then maybe we'll go through and get you some more out there like the Skelly Necro and the Bow Rogue. So the reason why I did Druid last is not because they do 17 damage. It's because it's hard to understand exactly what to recommend because the Druid derives a lot of its power from its legendary powers. And, the legendary powers, you never know what's going to drop. And then we look at the Codex of Power to try to determine what's the smartest thing that we can do, not only for leveling, but to step into the end game. So let's talk about our different options for a second, and let me explain to you why I'm going to recommend to you what I'm recommending to you. Let's start with Lightning Storm. Lightning Storm is a decent skill. It's kind of weird because it's channeled. You hold it down, and the enhancement makes it a little bit better. It preserves the damage over 4 seconds, but that turns the optimal play into this weird stutter stepping casting thing that I think is A, not very fun, and B, not very casual friendly. And it has some weird targeting, but it does have a decent output. So it's okay, but not what I'm going to recommend to you. Tornado is the build that I want to recommend to you. I think it does a lot of damage. I really like the skill. Problem is the pathing of it is so bad. You have to play it as a melee character, walk up to the mobs, throw a tornado, and hope it kind of stays around, and it usually never does. If you ever get the tornado power where tornado seeks enemies, I think you should just respec tornado and go that way. Skipping Pulverize for a second. Let's go to Shred. Some people, I say it's about 80-20. I think about 80% of the community thinks that Shred sucks. 20% of the community thinks Shred is pretty good. I think part of the reason why people think Shred is good is because Shred had 2 powers in Act 1. You get 2 Codex powers for Shred in Act 1. So, okay, you might think you're plowing then compared to the other skills. And Shred does have some mobility advantages over the other skills, so I guess it's not the worst thing in the world. When I played Shred, it didn't feel great. And by the way, note here, any changes that Blizzard might make on the day 1 patch could change everything that I'm saying. Maybe these skills are just going to be dominating on their own and not have to have legendary powers. From what I've seen in my heart, I cannot recommend Shred as the leveling build. Now, with some of the tricky stuff that we could do, I really thought about recommending Landslide and then respecking to Pulverize. I think that's a little bit too much work though. Landslide used to be incredible at killing the elites, then they nerfed it. Still probably the best way to kill elites, but I think if you're playing for the first 30 levels only playing Landslide, I don't think you're going to have very much fun. So I'm going to make a last minute decision and edit my build ever so slightly and just tell you to go Pulverize the entire way. Now for me, I think Pulverize is the most fun core skill. I mean, you're literally just a huge bear and you just smash stuff. It's very satisfying. It's very good at AoE, not the best on the bosses. But the good thing about this build is we're going to keep building up and up and up and up and get stronger and stronger and stronger. And I think by the end of it, it's going to feel quite incredible. So I'm just going to recommend you go Pulverize the whole way. Now, why? Well, let's look at Pulverize. So in Act 5, so pretty far into it, we can make Pulverize an Earth skill. And then it's going to do some tectonic spikes. The tectonic spikes or whatever, the actual real good Pulverize power is down here. If you get this, you are going to be crushing the game, just deleting it. But this Pulverize as an Earth skill is going to be incredible. By the time you get it in Act 5, you're going to see that and how we're going to build our Druid. So once you just go pick this up in Act 5, you're going to be pumping. So what are we going to do on the way to Act 5? Well, if you search for Fortify, there's some nice powers you can get along the way. In Act 2, you can pick up Fortify, gives you plus Earth skills plus 2 ranks. It doesn't help you then, but it does help you later when Pulverize becomes an Earth skill. Your core skills deal 30% increased damage. It'll be 30 if you put it on an amulet from the Codex of Power based on your amount of Fortify. Druids are so good at building Fortify, so you're pretty much should have this buff up near maximum pretty much all the time. Then, in the very next act, you can use a shape-shifting skill to gain life and gain Fortify. See where we're going with this? Fortify is super powerful. Then another thing you can do is you can go Earth. Can I type in 2 words? Let's just type in Earth. There is a power, I believe in Act 2 as well, where Earth skills now slow. Not going to help us right then when we get it, but later on, when we're in Act 5, if Earth skills slow and we have Pulverize, Now all of a sudden, all your things like damage to slow and damage to crowd control are going to work. You're going to do way more damage. So you might be asking yourself, okay, Rax, you're asking me to do two things. First of all, you're asking me to go farm a bunch of Codex of Power dungeons. Shouldn't I just rip through the campaign very quickly? And the answer is, if you just rip through the campaign, certainly you can play that way, but I think there is a 0% chance, I guess it's depending on how you play, that you're going to be level 50 and ready for the capstone dungeon by the end. So you might as well explore a bit and go get these helpful powers for yourself. I don't think that's going to be any issue at all. I don't think that's going to slow you down at all. The second thing is, you might ask, okay, Rax, let's say I just go do all those dungeons. Then I have to go imprint them. Am I going to have the gold to do that? And am I going to have the mats to do that? The answer is yes, and yes, as long as you don't spend your gold stupidly. Don't spend your gold upgrading your gear, save it, and make sure you're salvaging everything that you find so you can imprint these legendary powers on your gear. That way in Act 5, when it starts to get really tough, you can start pumping. Another great thing about this build, if you decide to go this way, is it's based on Fortify, and there's so much survivability in this build. You're essentially like a walking refrigerator. I have no idea how you could ever die playing this build. Okay, so I have this spreadsheet, which is going to tell us exactly where to go step by step by step. Don't worry about it. I'll link the spreadsheet in the planner down below. And Maxroll's guides are going to be released, I think, on the 30th, and then you'll have all of that to feast on. Okay, so let's go through this step by step. So, generator, you can go, if you want to be a werebear all the time, you can go Maul, but it's going to actually help us to go into human form and to have a nature spell. So I would go Storm Strike or Wind Shear, whichever one you like better. I like Storm Strike better because it gives you vulnerability. Storm Strike it is. Then we go Pulverize. They're going to deal 20% reduced damage, and we get 20% or 25% damage reduction after we hit with Storm Strike. So again, refrigerator can't die. Fierce Storm Strike is going to give us the vulnerability. So moving down here, we're going with Blood Howl. This skill is incredible. It's a 15-second 20% heal, so it's like a potion. 15-second cooldown. Every enemy you kill reduces it by 1. So this is up all the time. Remember, we're shape-shifting into werewolf form. That's good. And then innate Blood Howl is going to give us more spirit. Spirit is a huge problem early game for druids. This is why we take this. Let's start pumping Pulverize. When we unlock Poison Creeper, we're taking it. You drop a Poison Creeper every 20 seconds, it poisons everything. They just essentially die instantly. It's a godly skill. Going to finish Pulverize from there, and then we're going to pick up Earthen Bulwark. This is going to give us the Fortify we need. If you go pick up all those juicy legendaries, it's what's going to make everything work. Makes you unstoppable and gives you a barrier. It's going to keep you alive. Down here, we're going for Trample. Now, for Trample, first of all, Trample does a lot of damage on its own, and this is the movement ability for the Druid. If you find out already by now that you're like pretty good on Fortify, you don't have to take everything for Fortify, but until we're good on Fortify, and if we go for those legendary powers, I'm going to keep picking Fortify. If you have 100 Fortify all the time, then by all means, take the one that generates Spirit so you can throw more Pulverizes. Okay, let's pick up the Poison Creeper. Both of these are good. This is kind of help you against the bosses. This would give you a longer poisoning duration. They're both kind of good. It's hard to pick. I'd probably go for the longer poison duration, but if you're really struggling on the single targets, then go for the brutal one. Now we're going to go up here, and we're going to go Heart of the Wild, so that way we can pick up everything that's going to help us generate spirit. The things that are going to help us generate spirit are abundance and clarity whenever we go into human form. Remember, this is human form. So we go werebear human form, werewolf human form, trample human form. So you keep flipping back in as you're generating your spirit. It's going to give you a ton of resource generation. It's going to help you throw more Pulverizes. Now that we've solved our resource problems, hopefully now we can get away with taking wild impulses. And it's about at this time, about at this level, where you should be going for that Act 5 dungeon to change Pulverize into an Earth skill. So from there, now we can take things like Crushing Earth, and then we can start picking up all these beautiful Earth things. For the ultimate, you have two choices, Earthen Might and Earth Science Strength. This is just 30% increased damage. So I would just take this. this is lucky hit and it's increased, and restore all of your spirit and it's increased by this and that and this and that. Stuff like this probably works very well in the end game when you have everything all set up and online. For leveling, I would just take just 30% damage. By the way, it needs to be said, one very, very good ultimate is Grizzly Rage. So you have a couple of choices. You could respec out of Poison Creeper and take Grizzly Rage. You could potentially take out either Earthen Bulwark or the Blood Howl if you felt like you were immortal, and then you could take Grizzly Rage. Definitely a viable option. So don't be sitting there thinking, "Oh, Rax missed the best ultimate." I know it's good. It's really good. It gives you a lot of damage. It gives you a lot of damage reduction. And it keeps going up and up and up and up. And if you get more kills, then it's going to extend the duration. You get unstoppable, and then you also get the fortify thing. So it synergizes very, very well. My problem here is I really don't want to give up my heal that's up all the time. I don't want to give up my Earthen Bulwark too much because it keeps me alive. And I just love the Poison Creeper, man. I love this thing. But it might make sense to maybe get rid of the Poison Creeper and pick up the ultimate. I'll leave that up to you. I'll leave the Poison Creeper in for now. But if you want to try, at least try it. Respec and try it. It's not going to cost you that much. If you find that it's better, then go with the ultimate. Now that we have Crushing Earth, we can take Safeguard and we can take Stone Guard. Safeguard is going to give us more Fortify, and Stone Guard is going to give us more damage with our Earth skills when we have Fortify. Remember, if you're overcapped on Fortify and it's going bananas, you can always respec out of this and take the more Spirit. That will help you whenever you're feeling that way. Now, I would like to take these other two nodes in Crushing Earth, and whenever you do go get that slow in Act 2 on Earth skills, this can absolutely work. So this is just literally 10% increased damage for free because they're always going to be slowed. But I'm going to purposely fill this in at the end in case you didn't get the dungeon yet, in case you go get it later. But if you already have it, take Crushing Earth right now. So now we can take all of this beautiful stuff. This is kind of the reason why we were doing all of this. We can take this full tree: Defiance, Natural Disaster, and Resonance. So nature magic skills deal 12% increased damage to elites. So this works because Pulverize converts to Earth. And you might say, well, Rax, that doesn't mean anything. Look at Landslide, for example. Landslide has two different categories, Earth and Nature. They're not the same thing. Earth doesn't automatically mean Nature. This was tested, and it was tested and confirmed that it does work. When Pulverize converts to Earth, it also gives you Nature, and it does work. If it doesn't work on live, they nerfed it. But it should work, so this whole tree is going to work. Your skills are going to do more damage to vulnerable enemies. We're going to have that from our Fierce Storm Strike. And then we have Resonance. Nature Magic's going to deal 6%, but it's going to be triple that if an Earth skill is the next skill cast after a Storm skill. So it means you cast everything, you trample over, you hit him with one Storm Strike, then you hit him with a Pulverize, and you get a massive damage increase. Lightning and then Pulverize, lightning and then Pulverize. And by the way, that's beautiful for clarity, just giving you 6 spirit every time that you do that. There's some very nice synergies here. Okay, so then from here, we're looking for Predatory Instinct. Where is this talent? Can't even find it. Is it up here? Yeah, here it is. Critical strike chance against close enemies increased by 6. I mean, we're always attacking close, literally all the time. Even if we trample through, whether we Pulverize, whether we Storm Strike, it's a great talent. By now, you should have your slow. Take Crushing Earth. You can take it earlier if you want. And then finally, we're going to pick up Envenom. If you kept the Poison Creeper. If you didn't take the Poison Creeper, you got 4 points to play around with and take something else. If you took Grizzly Rage, for example, then you don't want Envenom. But I think this Druid right here will have a very nice progression. Pulverize is fine early game, not the greatest. You're going to be building up powers here and there. You're going to get that incredible core power in Act 3. It's going to give you 30% increased damage. You're going to be building your Fortify. You've got your heal all the time. That's always reset. It's like an extra potion. You got your Earthen Bulwark to stay alive. You have like max Fortify. You have mega AoE in this build. You have Pulverize and Poison Creeper. Your AoE is insane. If you find out later Grizzly Rage is good for you, take Grizzly Rage. I already know it's godly. If you find that that's better, do that. can also play around with Earthen Mind if you want. Play around with it a little bit. Remember, if you're playing and you find that Tornado seeks enemies, go Tornado. If you are playing and you're playing this build and you, by some miracle, find this Pulverize power for Shockwave, this is going to be the strongest leveling experience you ever had, because this is an incredible multiplier and just covers the whole screen in a Shockwave. So it's something you're going to be looking for later. And all you have to do is find that one aspect. And I'm almost certain you're going to crush that capstone dungeon as a refrigerator. It's going to feel great. Now for the other things. First of all, for the gems, we can take sapphires as long as you've gotten this Earth Skills slow thing by the end. If you don't have that, then what you can do is you can take emeralds for the vulnerable that we're going to be applying from Stormstrike. Then you go for rubies and skulls over here. And then for the spirit boons, we're going to take wariness for 10% reduced damage from elites. Then we're going to take the 2 crit ones under the eagle. We're going to take bolster for fortify. You get it, we're doing the fortify stuff. But if you find that you want to take Grizzly Rage, then you're going to take Calamity instead. And then Obsidian Slam, every 10th kill causes your next Earth skill to overpower. This can help us overpower all the time. For stats, you want stuff to crowd-controlled enemies and slowed enemies. Again, make sure you go get this quicksand thing. It's very, very important for your damage. Damage to Earth skills, plus to Pulverize, anything like that. Core damage, life, armor, anything with Fortify. Those are kind of the things that you're looking for. Anyway, here's my Druid build, guys. Lots of different ways you can build a Druid. Not at all claiming this is the only way. But this way relies heavily on the Codex of Power and building up your character and puts in a lot of defense. I think you will have smooth sailing in this Druid, which is not something I can say for probably all of the different core skills. Many more videos are coming. Thank you for watching.